My next guest is truly what?
First guest.
What did I say?
Next guest.
And you corrected me in front of millions of people.
Johnny Carson reigned as the undisputed king of late-night television, captivating audiences for decades with his sharp wit, charm, and unforgettable presence. But behind the polished laughter and carefully curated broadcasts, there were 10 shocking moments that producers scrambled to keep hidden from public view. These weren't scripted jokes or lighthearted slip-ups. They were raw, unexpected incidents that revealed the unpredictable nature of live television. So what were the most jaw-dropping moments that even Carson's team tried to bury? Keep watching because number 4 will leave you stunned. 10. The Joan Rivers fallout. Johnny Carson and Joan Rivers were more than colleagues. They were a late-night powerhouse, a duo whose combined wit and timing defined an era. Carson had spotted her talent early, famously telling her on air in 1965, "You're going to be a star." Rivers quickly became a staple on The Tonight Show, eventually serving as his permanent guest host, filling in whenever Carson was away. Their partnership seemed unshakable, built on trust and mutual admiration. But in 1986, that trust was shattered. Rivers accepted a groundbreaking offer from the fledgling Fox network to host her own late-night show, becoming the first woman to achieve such a milestone. She delayed telling Carson, fearing the deal might collapse and wanting to protect her place on The Tonight Show. Yet before she could speak to him, the news went public. When Rivers called to explain, Carson famously hung up. He cut all contact and banned her from The Tonight Show for life. Even chance encounters in public were met with silence. Producers were stunned. The intensity of Carson's response shocked everyone and created one of television's most infamous silent feuds. Rivers would not return to The Tonight Show until 2014, nearly 50 years after her debut, and long after Carson's death.
The best and the quirkiest entertainers. Now people from around the country, the death of Johnny Carson. His nephew tells CNN he passed away.
Their story remains a stark reminder that even the brightest on-screen partnerships can hide the deepest fissures. But what happens when another guest dares to confront Carson with a question that cuts to the core of his hosting style? Stay tuned to find out. 9. Charles Grodin's On-Air Challenge. On September 5, 1990, Charles Grodin, the dry-witted satirist and actor, stepped onto The Tonight Show and turned what should have been a routine interview into one of late night's most unforgettable moments. Known for his understated, often piercing humor, Grodin had a reputation for blurring the line between jest and confrontation, but this time he pushed straight through it. Midway through the segment, he leveled a question at Johnny Carson that stunned everyone. "Do you even care about your guests?" There was no playful wink, no rehearsed charm, just a sharp, deliberate challenge. Carson, master of timing and composed grace, faltered. His usual effortless wit gave way to a cold, clipped reply, and the studio fell into tense silence. Electricity crackled in the air as Grodin, unflinching, continued to probe, poking at Carson's polished demeanor and the carefully controlled rhythm of the show. The audience was caught between laughter and disbelief, unsure how to react. Even producers felt the tremor of this unexpected clash, debating whether the clip might ruin The Tonight Show's pristine image if aired again. Yet Carson allowed it to remain, letting viewers witness a rare glimpse of vulnerability from the man who had long been the unflappable king of late night. What started as a simple interview turned into a subtle but intense power play, an encounter where humor met confrontation and the master of embarrassment was momentarily disarmed. Today, fans revisit the footage not for scandal, but for the strange thrill of watching Carson, so often in control, confronted by a guest with the audacity to question the very essence of his show. But could this be the one Tonight Show episode where even Carson's legendary composure couldn't withstand the unexpected? Stay tuned as we uncover the next shocking moment. 8. The Lost Band Episode, Johnny Carson's Vanished Show. There's one Tonight Show episode shrouded in mystery, a broadcast so elusive it has become the stuff of late-night legend. Airing once and never again, The episode left no reruns, no transcripts, no surviving footage, and no official acknowledgement from NBC. Generations of media historians have speculated endlessly about what unfolded that night. Some claim a celebrity meltdown or an offensive tirade derailed the show, while others suggest a chaotic backstage collapse spilled onto the set, leaving Carson visibly shaken. For a man known for his flawless composure, this was unprecedented. Producers reportedly feared the damage was too severe, prompting NBC executives to quietly erase the episode from history. Unlike other controversial moments that were edited or shelved, this show disappeared entirely, leaving behind only whispers and rumors. What makes it chilling is the silence surrounding it. An entire broadcast vanished without a trace, a ghost in the archives that fans can only imagine. The theories are endless. Was it scandal, sabotage, or something far more personal that shook Carson, the unflappable king of late night, to his core? Even the sharpest insiders have never provided a definitive answer, adding to the episode's haunting mystique. Every hint, every second-hand account fuels speculation that this lost broadcast was a turning point, a glimpse at a vulnerability rarely seen. But could something so controversial truly disappear without a trace? Stay with us to find out. 7. Ed Ames and the legendary Tomahawk mishap. In April 1965, Ed Ames, best known for his role as Mingo on NBC's Daniel Boone, stepped onto The Tonight Show to demonstrate the art of tomahawk throwing. What began as a simple educational segment quickly transformed into one of the most unforgettable moments in late-night television. Ames, explaining technique with care, prepared to hurl the tomahawk at a wooden silhouette representing a cowboy. The throw itself was precise, but its landing, right in the figure's crotch, set the studio audience off in uncontrollable laughter. Yet it wasn't just Ames' accident that made the moment legendary. Johnny Carson's reaction elevated the mishap into pure television magic. According to a director in the control room that night, Carson just lost it completely. He doubled over, tears streaming down his face, unable to speak for what felt like an eternity. When he finally caught his breath, he delivered a quip with perfect timing that sent the audience into fresh hysterics, showcasing his uncanny to turn the unexpected into comedy gold. What set this incident apart was its raw authenticity. The professional mask Carson usually wore, the calm, unflappable host, vanished entirely. Viewers witnessed a side of him rarely seen, spontaneous, unfiltered, and delightfully human. In an era where television carefully curated celebrity personas, Carson's genuine loss of composure reminded audiences why he was beloved. The Tomahawk incident became iconic, replayed repeatedly over the years, including during his final week on air in 1992, cementing its status as perhaps the most perfectly unscripted moment in Tonight Show history. But could one surprise on stage shake Carson's legendary poise? Keep watching to see how a single moment turned The Tonight Show into unforgettable television. 6. The night Carson lost his monologue. On December 14, 1988, Johnny Carson stepped onto The Tonight Show stage, ready to deliver his flawless monologue, the nightly ritual millions had come to expect. But a sudden beeper in the audience disrupted his rhythm, and before he could recover, producer Fred de Cordova appeared from offstage, trying to reset the timing. The double interruption threw Carson completely off balance. He paused, attempted to restart his joke, and then froze, blank. The words vanished, leaving him staring at the audience. Instead of masking the mistake, Carson laughed, and then laughed some more. His stuttered attempts to recover only amplified the humor, and soon Ed McMahon, along with the audience, was doubled over. What could have been a simple blunder transformed into pure comedy gold. Carson's brilliance wasn't in perfection, it was in authenticity. Rather than pretending the flub hadn't happened, he leaned into it, turning the mishap into part of the segment itself. The laughter, unplanned and genuine, revealed a side of the host rarely seen, human, relatable, and delightfully imperfect. Producers debated cutting the clip from future reruns, concerned it appeared too raw, too uncontrolled. Carson refused, understanding that the spontaneity was exactly what made it memorable. Today, the moment remains a fan favorite, a shining example that even the most seasoned performers can falter. And when they do, the result can be unexpectedly brilliant, leaving an indelible mark on television history. 5. Eva Gabor and the Twister Frenzy. The studio buzzed with energy as Johnny Carson introduced a curious new board game that no one had yet taken seriously. Eva Gabor, poised and playful, stepped onto the Tonight Show stage to test Twister, a game still gathering dust on store shelves. What began as a lighthearted demonstration quickly escalated into a spectacle of acrobatics and flirtation. Carson crawled across the mat with nimble precision, trying to keep up with Gabor's agile moves, while her dress shifted precariously, prompting gasps and laughter from the audience. Behind the scenes, NBC producers exchanged uneasy glances, unsure how much of the live chaos would be deemed acceptable. Yet the cameras rolled, capturing every misstep, tumble, and shared laugh. The playful tension and physical comedy transformed a simple promotional segment into an unforgettable television moment. Overnight, Twister flew off shelves, proving that Carson's charm could turn even a board game into a cultural phenomenon. The mix of spontaneity, humor, and daring interaction revealed a side of late-night television rarely seen: unpredictable, human, and wildly entertaining. Even reruns later trimmed some of the risque moments, but the energy of that night remained legendary, a testament to Carson's magnetic presence and Gabor's effortless charisma on live television. But what happens when playful banter suddenly crosses the line? Keep watching to see the moment that left even Carson's audience stunned. 4. Dolly Parton and the Tonight Show controversy. When Dolly Parton stepped onto the Tonight Show stage in 1977, her charm and musical talent were already well known, as was her famously voluptuous figure, a feature she often joked about. That evening, the studio buzzed with the usual mix of laughter and anticipation as Johnny Carson and Parton engaged in their familiar, playful back and forth. Yet what began as lighthearted banter took an unexpected turn. Glancing at Parton's low-cut outfit, Carson made a remark that shocked the room. "I'd give a year of my life to peek under that blouse." Gasps and laughter rippled through the audience, while the control room reportedly held its collective breath. Parton, ever composed, laughed it off with her signature grace, maintaining the poise that had won her fans worldwide. Behind the scenes, however, the comment left its mark. NBC executives and directors recognized it as unusually direct, even for Carson, who usually balanced humor with a polished, gentlemanly demeanor. Viewer reactions poured in, a mix of outrage and amusement, making it one of the most talked-about moments in the show's history. Some praised Carson's candidness, seeing it as a glimpse into the humor audiences privately entertained. Others criticized the remark as inappropriate, reflecting shifting societal standards regarding television, gender, and public discourse. For Carson, a man celebrated for his uncanny sense of what could fly in the air, the Parton exchange was a rare misstep, a fleeting lapse in judgment. Parton herself took no offense, laughing it off as a compliment. Yet the moment captured the shifting lines of comedy and culture on live television. Audiences glimpsed both charm and controversy in real time, a delicate dance of wit and perception. But could one unexpected animal or an unplanned twist really unravel the meticulously controlled world of The Tonight Show? Keep watching to see what happens next. 3. When animals took over The Tonight Show. Joan Embry's visits to The Tonight Show were usually playful interludes, a chance for audiences to see exotic animals up close. But one night in the 1970s, the segment spun wildly out of control. What began as a simple demonstration of a monkey's antics quickly became chaos when the animal lunged at a guest's hand, startling but thankfully harmless. The studio erupted in nervous laughter, while Carson, famously uneasy around unpredictable creatures, visibly recoiled, stepping back as if the monkey might leap again. The situation escalated when a snake, meant to be calmly handled, wriggled free and slithered across the stage, weaving between props and crew members. Carson's attempt to maintain composure was apparent, yet his discomfort could not be hidden. The tension in the room was almost tangible. Audience members gasped, some laughing nervously, as the normally controlled set descended into an unpredictable frenzy. Even the production team struggled to regain order, their efforts a blur of quick movements and hurried commands. Producers later edited the segment for reruns, trimming the most chaotic moments to preserve the show's polished image. Yet what remained offered a rare glimpse of Carson's authentic reaction, a mix of fear, surprise, and reluctant amusement. While Joan Embry's appearances were beloved for their charm and spontaneity, that night became legendary, a reminder that live television could still be unpredictable, that even the king of late night could be caught completely off guard by the wildness of the animal kingdom. 2. The Peter Popoff exposure. On one unforgettable night in 1986, The Tonight Show shifted from laughter to revelation. Johnny Carson, no stranger to sleight of hand himself, invited skeptic James the Amazing Randi to confront televangelist Peter Popoff, whose faith-healing crusades claimed divine insight into personal ailments. Popoff would call out names and illnesses from the stage, insisting they came directly from God, yet Randi had uncovered the hidden truth. Popoff was fed details through an earpiece, receiving real-time cues from his wife backstage, who had collected information from prayer cards filled out by audience members. During the live broadcast, Randi played the incriminating tapes, Popoff's wife whispering, "She has cancer of the uterus," followed moments later by Popoff repeating the exact words to the audience as if divinely inspired. The studio fell into stunned silence, the usual energy of applause replaced by collective shock. Carson, visibly serious, allowed the evidence to speak without interruption, his presence commanding attention as viewers absorbed the gravity of the deception. What unfolded wasn't mere comedy, it became an unmasking that shook television and religious audiences alike. NBC producers braced for backlash, fearing offended viewers, yet Carson's steady presence made the exposure undeniable. That night, the king of late night became a rare vessel for truth, blending timing, gravitas, and courage to deliver one of the most unforgettable investigative moments in late-night history. But how much control did Carson truly wield, and which episodes vanished into obscurity forever? Don't blink, because the secrets behind his legendary veto power are about to be revealed. 1. Johnny Carson's secret control. Behind the effortless humor of The Tonight Show, Johnny Carson exercised a rarely seen authority over his own legacy. He held the power to veto reruns of episodes that captured awkward interviews, flopped jokes, or moments that revealed vulnerability, a control that producers rarely questioned. Yet his guardianship of the show extended far beyond mere taste. In the early 1970s, hundreds of tapes from the 1960s were moved to Burbank for temporary storage. When a building manager sought to reclaim space, he quietly ordered the tapes destroyed. Furious, Carson lamented the loss of footage he had personally requested, noting he would have gladly paid for proper storage to preserve them. Though the tapes belonged to NBC, Carson's influence ensured that the broadcast history reflected the version of him he wanted the public to remember: polished, composed, and impeccably timed. Many episodes disappeared forever, their content sealed in vaults or erased, leaving behind only a carefully curated record of his 30-year reign. What remains is a testament not just to his comedic genius, but to a meticulous attention to legacy, where every rerun was weighed, every mistake measured, and every laugh preserved under his watchful eye. In a world of spontaneity, Carson was the ultimate gatekeeper, shaping what generations would see and remember, quietly molding the king of late night into an enduring icon. But could Carson's careful control behind the scenes reveal a side of the king of late night the public never saw? Keep watching to uncover the untold truths that shaped his iconic reign. Johnny Carson, the untold side of television's king. Johnny Carson didn't just host The Tonight Show, he defined it. For 30 years, he held late-night television in a grip that combined charm, timing, and an uncanny sense of the audience's pulse. Millions tuned in nightly, drawn to his monologues, sly smiles, and characters like Karnak the Magnificent or Aunt Blabby. Yet behind that polished persona was a man whose life was far more complex, filled with contradictions, private struggles, and moments even cameras never fully captured. Carson's rise to late-night superstardom coincided with a life of shifting relationships. His marriages, 4 in total, reflected both brilliance and distance. His first marriage to Joan Jody Wolcott produced 3 children, but could not survive the pressures of a career ascending into national fame, ending in 1963 as Carson assumed his legendary role on The Tonight Show. Tragedy struck decades later when their son Richard died in a car accident in 1991. A loss Carson carried quietly, revealing little to the world but shaping much of his private life. His second marriage, to Joanne Copeland in 1963, began with promise. Joanne encouraged him to push harder into the spotlight, yet the relentless demands of the show exposed emotional gaps Carson couldn't bridge. By 1972, their marriage ended, his emotional distance leaving a lasting mark on those around him. Later that year, he wed model Joanna Holland. Life in New York, followed by the show's move to California, strained their union. Carson's perfectionism and long hours left little room for domestic life, and their divorce in 1985 closed another chapter of private turbulence. Finally, in 1987, Carson married Alexis Moss. Unlike past unions, their life remained quiet and private. Friends, including producer George Schlatter, called Alexis his true love. After Carson's 1992 retirement, they embraced sailing, reading, and Malibu's calm, revealing a brilliant yet private man, far removed from television's intensity. Even those closest to him saw the contradictions. His longtime lawyer, Henry Bushkin, recalled a man who could be generous, witty, and warm one moment, then curt, aloof, and hard-hearted the next. Carson himself once joked, "If I'd given as much to marriage as I gave to The Tonight Show, I'd probably have a hell of a marriage." That line, half humorous and half regretful, captured a man who poured everything into his work, yet kept his heart behind a curtain, accessible to few. Carson's genius won 6 Emmys, a Peabody Hall of Fame induction in 1987, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1992, yet his personal life, volatile, distant, and lonely, contrasted sharply with his public charm, creating a complex, fascinating figure whose concealed struggles made his story unforgettable. And still, some moments were so unpredictable, so shocking, that even the cameras didn't capture them fully. So what hidden Tonight Show moments did Carson quietly erase? And how much of his legendary genius remains unseen? We'd like to hear your theories. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more shocking revelations.